Welcome once again to the City of Maple Grove Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from CCX Media. Thanks for joining us, along with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome once again, Heidi.
Thank you.
She's got the notes ready to give you an update of the last council meeting on August 7th, and also a lot happening around the city that we'll update you on. Before the council meeting on the 7th, a work session, and it's that time of the year once again, and I know you've been busy on it, but tell us about the budget process and what was discussed at the work session.
Yeah, so budget season here. We've been started our work at a staff level on the budget pretty much end of May, beginning of June, and so presented kind of the first run at the budget to the council. A lot of different factors affecting the budget this year. In the past year or two, we've made some moves on our union contracts, particularly for patrol officers that have annual cost impacts to us. We did a compensation and classification study for our non-union staff. Lots of pressure on wages today and trying to stay competitive there, and so some impacts to the budget with that this year. And then just general inflationary pressures, so the things that people see in their own lives, we certainly experience at the city, the cost of equipment, road salt, those type utilities, those types of things. So a lot of the things in the budget are really reflective of whether it's pressure on wages or just those escalating costs of utilities and those things that we need to operate the city. So the first run at the budget that we presented was a 7.89% increase in the levy, which is a pretty, a bigger increase than what we normally see here in Maple Grove, but I think it's reflective of a lot of those factors in terms of the inflationary pressures and the pressures on wages, those types of things. A couple new positions proposed in this budget for one new investigator in the police department. Just our case count continues to go up, and then discussion about a city forester position that would be really focused on the emerald ash borer issue that is really taxing at this moment. We're seeing a lot of impact of that in a lot of the more park open spaces, trail corridors, those types of things where we're seeing trees failing. So more discussion to come on this budget. Not sure where that final levy number will land yet. Coming back on August 21st for more work session time to talk about the budget. We're also going to be talking about the city did receive some public safety funding from the state of Minnesota during the legislative process, and some options about how we want to utilize those monies to support both police and fire operations, as well as some of the impacts from the legislative session requirements for the city to add some additional leave benefits to employees, those types of things, so walking through that. One kind of interesting shift this year is what we saw as a tremendous growth in our commercial and particularly our industrial property values, and more of a flat growth in our residential property values. And so for taxes in 2024, we're really going to see a shift to the commercial industrial users. So for this budget, at its current where it's currently sitting, for an average home, which is about $431,000 in Maple Grove, the impact would be about $24 to $25 a year. So kind of looking at that, we also pay attention to what those impacts are to the commercial industrial users and understand that that's where the valuation shifted this year. So a lot of things to contend with in this budget. We've been doing a lot of long-term capital planning for the city, understanding kind of what our capital needs are going to be in the out years and how that sits up against our capital funds and needing to augment some of those things. Equipment replacement fund, our road reconstruction levy, needing to augment that. Those costs continue to go up. And we've not, we need to keep up with that levy a bit over the next few years to get that number to cover more of that cost. So pretty complicated budget this year. So we knew that this was going to be a year with a lot of decisions to make and things to contend with. So we'll be coming back on the 21st. We have until the end of September to set that preliminary levy. We're planning to do that at that second meeting in September. So we've got some time here to work through and sort through the issues, and then get some council direction around that preliminary levy that gets set by September.
Just as we did today, we'll break it down as we move through the next couple meetings here and throughout the rest of the year with the budget for 2024. Now to the meeting itself, nothing pulled from consent, but you wanted to just point out a few items related to cannabis. What was the discussion or some of the items that were included?
Yes, you probably have seen some discussion about this in the media. A lot of the metro area news stations have been covering this, but there were some, things left up to cities in the state legislation, and it was really talking about where cannabis can be used in public. And so the ordinance that we put forth does not allow for the use of cannabis in city parks, city-owned land, public spaces, sidewalks, streets, those types of things. It's kind of a laundry list of items in the ordinance if you're interested to go take a look. Just wanting to make sure that that use kind of stays in private spaces or those that are commercial spaces that are permitting that, and make sure that that activity isn't happening around children and those types of things. That was specifically called out in the legislation, but it didn't really speak to those specific places or how public land,
Sure.
Public-owned land would be. So that ordinance was adopted and goes into effect immediately. And then also, as we work through this issue, we've always had sort of a no smoking in the parks type of policy, but we didn't have that codified into city code, and so felt that it was important to kind of come behind with that, prohibiting smoking in the parks in general, tobacco, cannabis, all of it. So ordinances are out there. We're doing some CCX stories about that, just to kind of help people understand what became legal and maybe what some of the limitations are. I think you'll find a lot of the suburban cities kind of following along with that public space use of cannabis, and so this was something we needed to get in place, going forward now after August 1st. And then we are licensing those low potency cannabinoid products, so the THC products that were legalized by the legislature a year ago, those we now license, and so we do have we had a couple applications, one for Cub Liquor and Princeton Liquors also came in for a license on that. So from now until January of 2025, when the State Office of Cannabis Management takes over that, we'll just have this one-time license here at the city for those that wish to sell that in the city.
Very good. Thank you for bringing us up to date. Next item was community and economic development, and one variance to talk about of a unique property.
Yeah, so this is a residential property kind of in the southeast portion of the city off of Hemlock Lane. Kind of interesting lot configuration where many of the properties along that area, their side yard comes up to Hemlock Lane. This is one of the older kind of irregular lots where the front of the yard faces Hemlock, and so we don't typically allow fences in the front yard, but because of how this lot is configured in and around the neighboring properties, they came forward to ask for a variance to allow for that front yard fence along Hemlock. And if you drive that road, you know that there's a number of fences there, pretty busy roadway. So this kind of is consistent with the neighborhood there. So Planning Commission reviewed this, and then it was approved by City Council last evening as well.
Speaking of the Planning Commission, looking ahead to the next meeting that comes up on August 14th, and looks like they have a full plate.
Yeah, we've got a few items for August 14th. We have a short plat out at Appaloosa Woods. We continue to see some lot splits out there. Kind of the final phase development approvals for the Minnesota Science and Technology Center, which is now known as a Boston Scientific campus expansion. That will go forward for its development stage approvals. Omni Brewing is expanding up, kind of, if you're familiar with where they are, up off of kind of 93rd Avenue there, in more of an industrial area. They're buying a property next to them and then be expanding parking and making their office space up there and having a little bit more space for they're going to change it more to a brew pub, and so a little bit more space for those operations. So that's a nice expansion for Omni. And then up in the Tri-Care area, so north and west of Menards, up in that area where a lot of the new road connections are happening and new development, a multifamily development by the name of Norsk is proposed up there. So that one will plan to go forward on the 14th as well.
One final note, there was a new guest in the audience, and that is a new employee to the city.
Yeah, so Joe Ammerman has joined us as our new economic development manager for the city. We're really excited to get Joe on board and up to speed. He was an intern with us about 3 years ago, went on to work for the city of Osseo, and so we're really grateful for Joe to be joining us, and he's looking forward to the opportunity as well.
Let's jump ahead to engineering public works. A couple quick updates here. The first is 610, some activity happening there and a special event coming up.
Yeah, so on the consent agenda also was the authorization to get out to bid for that project.
Right.
So we're anxious for that. We want to get going on some work yet this fall to prepare for that project. So this is the completion of the interchange out at 610 and 94, and then the extension out across the fields there to the west to connect up with County Road 30. So we're going to celebrate a groundbreaking for this project on Tuesday, August 22nd in the afternoon. And so we're working with we had about 8 different funding partners in this project. So really important to pull everybody together and thank them for their support of this project, kind of completing 610 here on the west end in Maple Grove. It's a pretty exciting day for us. So this is going to be a great addition out to that west side. Really provides an opportunity for people coming from the west or those neighborhoods out in the northwest area, or those that are headed west, to really kind of have a route around that Maple Grove Parkway interchange,
Right.
which carries a tremendous volume of traffic and really services that local area there with the businesses, the hospital, those types of things. So really keeps those system-to-system movements on 610 and 94, and then provides a path out to County Road 30 without having to come through those kind of more commercial area intersections. So this is a big deal for the city to finally be completing this. We've been kind of collecting up the history of this, and this is a project that really started in the 70s, planning for what would be the northwest crosstown up here, and many cities and elected officials and leaders along the way that have worked on this in its various segments. So much to be celebrated here in August as we work on this final leg of the project, and probably a couple years of construction here. We'll get going on some work this fall, but next summer will be an active year of construction on this project.
All right, we'll keep you up to date. One other engineering item to pass along, the Evanswood area, a new housing area. Work continues there from the underground level.
Yeah, so this is, just kind of due north of where the new 610 extension will go across the fields, the Evanswood area, just south of the Hindu temple, kind of north of 101st out there. If you haven't driven out in that area for a while, it's kind of worth a trip. Much of the road system is in, the roundabouts, those types of things. We're going to be starting on the phase 2 of that, which will make the connection all the way up to the Hindu temple entrance. So lots of new houses being built out in that area. We had the church that was in front of the council a few weeks ago out there. So we continue to see a lot of development activity and interest out in that northwest quadrant of the city.
Final note from the meeting on the 7th was your update, which again talked about the budget. We touched on that earlier, that another work session coming up and more discussion, and we will keep you up to date on that. So that's it from the meeting on the 7th. Next meeting is on the 21st. We'll give you that information in a few moments, but let's hop around town and talk about a few of the things that are happening. And one thing that just happened was National Night Out, and it was a beautiful night, and you had a few people out.
We did. Tuesday, August 1st, National Night Out. So we kicked it off with the community picnic at the community center that day from 11 to 1. A lot of public safety displays, different nonprofit organizations from the community, a few businesses as well. The North Memorial helicopter, Life Flight helicopter was there, which is always a highlight. The dunk tank, and a few of our officers go in the dunk tank, that type of a thing. So great kickoff party at the community center during the day, and then we had 197 registered parties for that evening. So of course our team split up and covered the city that night, and so I think a really great night for Maple Grove and another successful National Night Out.
Hats off to all involved. Photo contest coming to its final stages here, the final judging happening, and again, the turnout was amazing.
Yeah, so we nearly 500 entries in the photo contest this year, and they are available for viewing on the city website. So the judging is taking place this week, and then winning entries will be shared on social media and the city website, and we'll be presenting those winning photographers with their award at the second meeting in September with the City Council.
A big thank you to everyone who sent in some photos. Something coming up on Saturday the 12th, so if you're watching this early, you can get out and be involved. Hennepin County FixIt Clinic. What is that that and where is it?
Yeah, so at the community center, that'll be the site for the next Hennepin County or Hennepin Environmental FixIt Clinic. It's from noon to 4, as you said, Saturday, August 12th, so coming up here quick this Saturday. You can get free help with broken items and learn valuable repair skills from volunteers. All clinics are first come, first served. No pre-registration is required, and there is information if you would just, Google like Hennepin FixIt Clinic. You can probably get to that information.
Yeah, neat opportunity to get out there. And it is August, as we've mentioned, and that means people thinking about the state fair. And just a quick reminder as far as transportation to the fair, what's happening?
Yeah, so we're not able to provide bus service from the Maple Grove Transit Center on the weekends. That had been happening prior to COVID pandemic. So that service is not coming back this year. We're hopeful for next year. This continues to just be the pressure on, finding labor for bus drivers, that type of thing. So lots of other transit options are available and on the State Fair website. So if you want to take a look there, but no direct bus service from Maple Grove this year again.
Good to know. Another note that is good to know is watering restrictions as the rather dry summer continues on. What do we need to remember?
Yeah, so we're continuing just monitoring the drought conditions. We were hoping for more rain on Sunday that happened here. So other areas of the metro, I think, did better. But continue with that watering ban from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day, and then following that odd even schedule according to your address.
Another item to think ahead into fall is the registration for a lot of the park and rec programs, and that's happening now, and there's a guide out to help you.
Yeah, so folks should have received that. The activity guide and registration is available on the city website, and lots of different learning opportunities, social activities, and programs to choose from.
A park in the city seeing a lot of dirt move around right now is Lakeview Knolls Park. What is happening there? A lot of excitement.
Yeah, so this is the big pickleball project. Those courts that are up there today are going to be closed through October when the new courts are now going to be under construction. We think it'll be done hopefully by October. And so we do have existing outdoor courts at both Central Park and Gleason Fields has a new pickleball court as well. So the ball fields in the play area are open until the playground replacement takes place. That will be part of this project as well. So when this project is all complete, we'll have 18 new pickleball courts as well as a picnic shelter, restrooms, shade areas, the playground as we mentioned, and then some trail improvements there as well. So a really nice addition to Lakeview Knolls Park. All
right, it'll be a busy site. Community garden discussion continues on. What's the latest here? And again, remind us why this started.
Yeah, so this has really kind of been a community-driven effort. We've done a few things. We've had the multi-generational gardens out behind the community center. That's really kind of a collaborative effort between the teen center and the senior center there. So they've been looking at 5 different Maple Grove parks for a location for a new community garden. They did conduct a survey asking for the public's input on the location and what they envision for that community garden. Those results will be presented to the park board here later in August at their meeting on August 17th, and then they plan to have this underway for the 2024 growing season once the site is selected.
Very nice. All right, some activity still going on as we continue through summer here that you might want to get out and enjoy. The first is Town Green. Lots of entertainment fun there. Yeah,
so we continue with the musical performances on Monday and Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. And then the kids and family-friendly entertainment every Thursday at 10:30 in the morning, and then of course we have the Friday night movies at dusk. So those continue here for a few more weeks.
All right, and right in that same area on Thursdays, the farmers market continues. What are the times again, and what's hot at the market these days?
Yeah, so 3 to 7 every Thursday. We'll continue with those hours until we kind of get into late September, and then we'll trim that up because the sun will start going down a little bit sooner. But lots of tomatoes and corn and all those wonderful things showing up at the farmers market now. So we encourage people to get out and check it out.
All right, for the swimmers, there's still time to get outside and swim in the city of Maple Grove. What are some of the hours for that pool?
Yeah, so the community center outdoor pool will remain open through Labor Day, 10 to 6 every day there. And then everyone in the pool area must have a wristband. And then children under 42 inches in the pool must have an adult within arm's reach. And one adult can supervise 3 children. Very important piece for us over there. at the community center pool, open through Labor Day.
All right, one final note to pass along, something for your calendar looking ahead into September. Rockin' the Grove. Who's behind this event and what's happening?
Yeah, so this is the Maple Grove Lions annual music festival at Central Park. Hairball is returning as the headliner,
Okay.
And the openers are the Rolling Stoners and Weekend Rockstar. That is on Saturday, September 16th. I think the gates open at 3 p.m. that evening for a full evening of music, and tickets are available at maplegrovelions.org.
All right, go to that website to find out more information and get involved. Heidi, thanks so much for all the information today.
You're welcome.
Packed half hour here of fun for you. Let's leave you with some information about the next council meeting date and also that website again. Lots of valuable information there. The next meeting on the 21st at 7:30, and again, there'll be a work session ahead of that about the budget. We'll update you the next time we get together. maplegrovemn.gov, the website. Go there to find out all the things happening in the city. And again, look for that fall guide for some recreational activities. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the City of Maple Grove Report.